Hey, welcome back to Case Brief with Megan. Let's make this case brief. Now, we brought up different kinds of cases that have something to do with this crime called negligence, and in order to have a negligence case, you need 4 elements, and those elements are duty, breach, causation, and damages. And today we're going to focus a little bit more on this causation thing here because there's 2 different types of causations that we think about when it's coming to negligence. So the 2 types of causations that we have are actual and proximate. Actual means basically but for you doing this action, somebody wouldn't have gotten hurt. You are actually the cause of somebody getting hurt. And then we have this fun thing called proximate cause, which basically means, is this the type of action that would have foreseeably caused the specific type of harm that came because of this action? Today we're going to focus a little bit more on proximate cause, and Metz versus Griglak kind of does a great job with that, involving a little bit of a snowy day in Pennsylvania. If you live near some type of city, maybe you've heard of Greyhound buses or other types of buses that will transport you from city to city. Imagine you're on one of those and it's a very snowy day. There is snow and ice all over the ground. Conditions aren't great for driving, but you're on that bus and the bus driver is just driving away. So the bus driver, who is in this bus owned by Perry Bus Lines, is driving behind this car driven by Mrs. Harshman, which they're both just trying to stay on the road. Northeastern winters are nothing to joke about. Usually, when it's snowy out, you tend to go a little bit slower, but not this Greyhound bus that is also on the road and drives right past the Perry bus and sends up this giant flurry of snow that goes into the bus driver's visibility. Bus driver for Perry buses has suddenly got all this ice and slush from the speeding Greyhound bus, and he was waiting for the windshield wipers to wipe off the snow and the ice. He's still driving along because he needs to get his people to their next destination. And you know what? As soon as he wipes things open, he realizes Mrs. Harshman has slowed down a bit and rams the bus right into Mrs. Harshman. Bus crash actually injures a lot of people, including Joseph Metz, who brings forward this case that, hey, I need to be compensated for my injuries. Who's at fault now? And we bring in Greyhound Bus Line eventually into this case. Where we get to the issue at hand, which is, can we hold Greyhound buses liable for the fact that one of their drivers was speeding over the speed limit and created such a snow flurry that it flew up into another driver's windshield and caused an accident? Here's the thing, the court actually says, we don't think that Greyhound bus is the proximate cause of this accident that's happened to you. And before you get mad at me, don't, go after the messenger. Let me tell you why they say that. The court says, do we think that Greyhound bus was speeding? Yeah, that you're speeding. That is negligent. You shouldn't be speeding on a snowy day. Let's essentially say, look, we have this very specific thing that happened. When it comes to proximate cause, we need to look at the negligent thing that happened and think, is this an injury that would have been foreseeable because of this wrong that somebody has done? So let's take a beat. When you usually see somebody is speeding on a snowy day, what do you expect? You expect that because they're speeding, they might not be able to stop, they hit another car, the ice causes them to skid and hit another car, it even causes somebody to maybe skid and drive off the road and injure themselves. But is creating a snowstorm flurry because you are speeding and it kicks up all the snow behind your car something that you could foresee causes a bus crash? Probably not. When you're usually driving on the road, you'd expect a little bit of wind that comes with the snowstorm. Having a little snow flurry pop up is usually something that you can expect would happen on a snowy day, so you better drive careful. Here's the thing, there was actually an act that could have helped to make sure that this bus crash never happened in the first place. Remember how I said that the bus driver actually didn't slow down at all when he had all of this stuff kicked up into the windshield wipers? If the bus driver had slowed down or stopped or even moved themselves over to the side of the road, this all could have been prevented. So that's what we call an intervening cause. When you have an intervening cause like this that makes sure that somebody else also could have done something to make sure that this injury didn't happen, usually say you snooze, you lose. If you learned anything from this case, just know I grew up in central New York. You see some shit in snowstorms.